Besama ab wel weld we mefeskadus hadawamlak amen. Besama ab wel weld we mefeskadus hadawamlak amen. Besama ab wel weld we mefeskadus hadawamlak amen. Give thanks. Good morning. So on with the reading of Exodus chapter 3 on this. If you're in the UK, then you're feeling the cold this morning. It was snowing yesterday and icy this morning. So again, I'm layered up. I might have to get even more layers on in future days. But anyway, all right. Give thanks. Exodus chapter 3. And Moses has been feeding the flock of his father-in-law, Jethro, priest of Midian, and he leads the flock behind the wilderness and comes to the mountain of God, to Horeb. And the messenger of Yahweh appears to him in a flame of fire out of the midst of the bush. And he sees, and behold, the bush is burning with fire, but the bush is not consumed. And Moses said, Now I turn aside and see this great appearance. Why is the bush not burned? And Yahweh sees that he has turned aside to see. And God calls to him out of the midst of the bush and says, Moses, Moses. And he says, Here I am. And he says, Do not come near me. Cast your shoes from off your feet. For the place on which you are standing is holy ground. So the place on which you are standing is holy ground. And also he says, I am the God of your father, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. And Moses hides his face, for he is afraid to look towards God. And Yahweh says, I have certainly seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, and I have heard their cry because of its extractors, for I have known its pains. And I go down to deliver it out of the hands of the Egyptians, and to cause it to go up out of the land, to a land good and broad, to a land flowing with milk and honey, to the place of the Canaanite, and the Hittite, and the Amorite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite. And now, behold, the cry of the sons of Israel has come to me, and I have also seen the oppression with which the Egyptians are oppressing them. And now come, I send you to Pharaoh, and bring out my people, the sons of Israel, from Egypt. And Moses says to God, Who am I that I go to Pharaoh, and that I bring out the sons of Egypt? Sorry, apologies, I'm saying that the wrong way around. And Moses says to God, Who am I that I go to Pharaoh, that I bring out the sons of Israel from Egypt? And he says, Because I am with you, and this is the sign to you that I have sent you. In your bringing out the people from Egypt, you serve God on this mountain. And Moses says to God, Behold, I am coming to the sons of Israel, and have said to them, The God of your fathers has sent me to you. And they have said to me, What is his name? What do I say to them? And God says to Moses, I am that which I am. He also says, Thus you say to the sons of Israel, I am has sent me to you. And God says to Moses, Thus you say to the sons of Israel, Yahweh, God of your fathers, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob, has sent me to you. This is my name for all time, and this is my memorial to generation and generation. Go, and you have gathered the elderly of Israel, and I've said to them, Yahweh, God of your fathers, has appeared to me, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, saying, I have certainly inspected you, and that which is done to you in Egypt. And I say that I bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt, to the land of the Canaanite, and the Hittite, and the Amorite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite, to the land flowing with milk and honey. And they have listened to your voice, and you have entered, you and the elderly of Israel, to the king of Egypt, and you have said to him, Yahweh, God of the Hebrews, has met with us, And now, please let us go and journey on 3 days into the wilderness, and we sacrifice to your God Yahweh. And I have known that the king of Egypt does not permit you to go, unless by a strong hand. And I have put forth my hand, and have struck Egypt with all my wonders, which I do in the midst. And afterwards he sends you away. I have given the grace of this people in the eyes of the Egyptians. And it has come to pass, when you go, you do not go empty. And every woman has asked for her neighbour, and from her who is sojourning in the house, for vessels of silver, vessels of gold, and garments. And you have put them on your sons and on your daughters, and have spoiled the Egyptians. For these few words I give thanks, blessed love. So again, this is one of the famous scenes from the Bible that's been depicted in films, etc. The burning bush, Moses in the burning bush. And yeah, it's a story that some of us get taught at school, in Sunday school and things like that. And so, yeah, just to recap briefly, Moses is tending the flock, and he sees a bush that's being burned, but it's not being consumed. So he goes and sees, and then he hears the voice, and it's God. And it's God telling him, first of all, to take off your shoes because you're on holy ground. But essentially, God gives them the instruction of going to Pharaoh to free the people of Israel, because he's heard the cries. And I remember in the previous chapter it said God remembers his covenant with Abraham, Isaac and Jacob, and he remembers the people of Israel. So God's now putting that into motion, and Moses is the significant figure that's going to lead that deliverance. And Moses said, who am I to go to Pharaoh? You know, I can't do that. But God says, I'll be with you, and I'll show you a sign that you're the right person. And when the Israelites are freed, they will come back on this mountain, and they will be worshipping me from this mountain. And then Moses says, who do I say sent them? What's your name? And first of all, God says, I am who I am. And then he says, tell the people that I am has sent you. And then further down it says, tell them that Yahweh, your God Yahweh, has sent you, the God of your fathers, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob. And this is my name for all time. And this is my memorial to generation and generation. So he gives two answers there. Well, maybe three answers. He says, I am who I am. Then he also says his name is I am. And then he says, my name is Yahweh. And that's been subject to big interpretation. What does it mean, I am? And I think one of the dominant interpretations is, you know, the name I am who I am. He's kind of he's beginning, he's without beginning, and he's without end. He just is. In terms of the, you know, the creator of the universe, creator of the world, he just is. Without form, without entity, without time. Also that it's, you know, that he's within all, without kind of explanation. I think there's also something with I am, when you say it, I am, you're saying the words I am. So God is within all of us. And there's that metaphysical reading as well. That when you call his name, I am, you're also calling on yourself. And this is where Rastafari get I and I from. And Tiwahido is a word, you know, everything in one. It all comes back to this one. And you can see that tradition in other kind of religions as well. Buddhism is about the one and the unity and the whole and the circle. So the idea of the oneness of all things, and God being the oneness of all things, is kind of transcendent through language and through many traditions. And, you know, squarely, I am who I am, and I tell them I am have sent you, is yeah, very strongly, I guess, within that narrative or with that interpretation. And there's going to be many other things to come off of that as well. But then, yeah, God goes on to say to Moses, go to the elders of the Israelites and tell them that I have sent you. But he also says to Moses that I will open the Pharaoh's eyes, that you will be able to leave, that you're not going to have to, kill the Pharaoh, anything like that, that you will be leaving with Egypt's blessing. It seems like he's saying that he's going to actually work on the Pharaoh, and you'll be leaving with Egypt's favor. So let's see how that kind of plays out. And you won't be leaving empty-handed. You will be taking silver, you'll be taking gold and garments with you and fabrics. So they're gonna leave, with not empty-handed. They're gonna leave with things because they'll be leaving with Egypt's favor, because Egypt will allow you to leave, but you're the one to have to open the door and enlighten Pharaoh on that. So that's a big call on Moses, but we've seen in the previous chapter that Moses doesn't shy back, that he's a man of strength and integrity and bravery. But it also shows here that he's a man of humility and humbleness, because he's like, who am I to do this? But God said, no, you are the man. You are the man. So very direct and, instruction. And this is, again, one of the few times in the Bible where God has appeared to a human directly. I don't remember all of the instances, but yeah, this is one of the few times where God has intervened personally and actually spoken directly to a human, to one of his people. So yeah, very interesting chapter, and again, a lot going on, but Moses very squarely now up for that challenge, which sets the scene for the next chapter for tomorrow. So I'll end it there. I'm feeling a bit tired actually, so if my energy level's a bit low, maybe that's why. But all good, and giving thanks for everything, and blessed love. Give thanks for listening, and have a blessed day.